Hey guys, what's up? My name is Quirk and today we're going to talk about Chisa, a flashy 5-star HAVOC Broadblade user who looks like she could be a main DPS but actually plays like a hybrid support. I want to keep this video simple and clear. I'll explain what her kit does, why she matters for team that love DOT or negative effects, and is she a must pull. Take note that she has a pros and cons, so let's go and talk about it. Let's start with the core idea. Chisa loves negative statuses. Negative status means arrow erosion, spectral frazzle, havoc bane, and other damage over time effect that take on the enemy. Many characters in Wuthering Waves already has a lot of damage through DOT, namely Kartitia and Zani. Did you know that Chisa's Wool kit is designed to amplify that? Her outer skill, Unraveling Law 0, grants a team-wide effect called Resonant Thread of Closure. This increases the maximum stack of negative status and Electro Rage a target can have by 3 for about 15 seconds. And that's actually pretty huge. It means enemies can hold way more dots at once, which increases a total damage over time and helps that heavy team snowball. Then there's Thread of Bane, a tag Chisa creates whenever the team inflicts negative status or deals negative status damage. The big deal is how these tags make enemies take extra Havoc Bane stack and let Chisa deal 18% defense ignore whenever she hits Thread of Bane targets. And that, my friend, that's an invisible damage boost that makes her kit punch way above what her number look like on a paper. And this is why I say she is great for all negative statuses. Whether it's Phoebe stacking Frazzle or Shikona spamming arrow erosion, Chisa amplifies all of it. The more dots you feed her, the more she explodes the battlefield. Now let's talk about team design. A lot of players are used to forcing specific role into a team. Someone to apply that, someone to trigger it, someone to heal, and someone to buff. This often means characters like Shorekeeper or Rover are used simply to patch holes in utility, and Chisa will change that because she provides healing through her Resonance Liberation, and not only that, her Soaring Reduction grants shield on her big finish. She provides sustain, and team survivability while also buffing dots. That means characters who used to be forced into a support or self-healing role can instead focus on maximizing damage. Take a Zani or Kartitia score. Those teams usually wants consistent DOT driver and someone who can trigger hits and exploit those dots. If you slot Chisa in, she becomes the dot amplifier and sustain source in one package. That frees players to include Shorekeeper or Rover as pure utility. Chisa allows each slot to specialize more. You can move Shorekeeper to your traditional DPS. Of course, there's a chance that Shorekeeper will give more damage since she buff crit stats. So what about Chisa's own damage? Is she also a good damage dealer herself, or do you pull for her only as a support? The short answer will be she isn't a pure carry, but she's also no joke either. Chisa's normal attack set includes multi-hit patterns like Rendering Lunge and Death Snip that do havoc damage and even heal the team on snip. Her Resonance Liberation, Moment of Nihility, hits very hard and heals a lot. In raw numbers, her Resonance skill and Resonance Liberation have solid multiplier. Her Chainsaw Mode finisher gains extra damage from the Ring of Chainsaw resource, and then grant shield to the team. Those mechanics let Chisa pull a decent AoE damage while also contributing to the team safety. Well, for short, she can deal solid damage, but when you put her in that heavy comp, her damage skyrocket. Because that's create more Thread of Bane, add more Havoc Bane, and more detonation, more spread, more cooldown reset, and repeat. Now let's talk about a bit of grouping. One of the great things about Chisa is how she handles grouping and spread damage. Her serrated loop ability in Resonance skill can pull in nearby enemies affected by her Unseen Snare and then hit them with repeated Havoc damage. Havoc Bane naturally spreads when it detonates, so every pull becomes a little explosion factory. When enemy dies under Chisa's Unseen Snare, her passive Inescapable Fate resets her Resonance skill cooldown once every 3 seconds. In multi-target fight, this becomes a loop. She pull with her Resonance skill, hit, spread dot, Havoc Bane builds, something dies, cooldown reset, and pull again. So the more enemies there are, the stronger she becomes. She built for mobbing stages, so Whimpering Waste is her battlefield. That creates a payoff moments where your group damage spikes, and also gives shield to the whole team for 30 seconds. So Chisa acts like a damage spreader and defensive anchor at the same time. making her a very good for sustained fights and stages with repeated small enemies aka Whimpering Waste and maybe Tower of Adversity too. Now let's talk about HAVOC BANE. HAVOC BANE looks simple at first, a stacking debuff that detonates for HAVOC damage, but in practice, it's way more than that. Here's what it really does for Chisa's team. It turns the slow dots into burst window. The more your dot ticks, the more HAVOC BANE stack build up. When it detonates, you get a quick burst of HAVOC damage, basically turning background damage into a real kill pressure. And also it spreads. The enemies don't get to escape your dots. Clamp enemies aka on the chainsaw mode becomes a burst factory. It also cooldown resets create a loop. When HAVOC BANE stack enemy dies under Unseen Snare, Chisa can reset her resonance skill and this brings more pull, more hit, more stack and more HAVOC BANE. And not only that, Defense Ignore makes every detonation stronger. Her kit ignores 18% defense on Thread of Bane targets. That is extremely strong in boss fight or content with tanky enemies. So overall, HAVOC BANE is the core of why she feels so smooth and also automatic. Once she gets going, she becomes a cycle of dots, stack, detonation, grouping, reset, and repeat. So HAVOC BANE isn't just extra numbers. It changes how team handle armored target or enemies with high resistance. In the right team, Chisa can turn long and drawn-out battle into a clean, manageable loop where enemies were weakened and dots are amplified. HAVOC BANE detonates and the team remains safe thanks to her healing and shield. Now for the final verdict, is she a must pull? This is so tricky because if you love DOT focused team, or if you random, or if you like building around sustained damage instead of single raw burst damage like Agasta, she's incredibly valuable. She fits naturally to Cartitia and Zani team, but she also free up like the character Shorekeeper and Rover so those units can be used to other teams for TOA. But if you're going to pull her for main DPS, her personal damage isn't top tier compared to main DPS, but it isn't perfectly solid and scales well with DOT engine you pair her with. Her group utility through her serrated loop, HAVOC BANE spread, and the team shield from soaring and reduction make her a safe and strong pick for both free-to-play friendly teams. The thing about Chisa is that her value go up if Wuthering Waves is going with the DOT meta since they spent a lot of time to rework the negative statuses. So Chisa is a must pull for the following. Number 1, if you love DOT gameplay. Number 2, if you have Cartitia, Zani, or Phoebe or Shikona. If you want a unit that gives healing, shielding, grouping, DOT buffing, and consistent damage all in one, well absolutely yes. So if you want mashing or raw number DPS, well Chisa is not for you. And also 100% if you don't care about DOT playstyle, then not for you too. But ask yourself, do you like the gameplay or game style or animation of Chisa? Well, if you answer yes, think about it. So when deciding whether to pull, ask yourself a few simple questions. Do you like playing teams that apply damage over time? Do you often build around Cartitia, Phoebe, Zani, or Shikona? Do you want your team to be specialized? Or maybe use Shorekeeper to other team? Well again, thanks for watching. That's it for now. Thank you very much for watching guys and see you guys on the next one. Peace out.